Does it feel like in life that you're just always on? Like there's no break, there's no reprieve. Did you know, ironically, Winston Churchill, who was Prime Minister of Great Britain during World War I, fighting in, at that time, the world's greatest and biggest war, said this, all right? He regarded his midday naps as, quote, essential for maintaining his mental balance, renewing his energy, and reviving his spirits. As a youth pastor for 14 years, one thing that I've found that's unique about this generation of teenagers is that the cell phone has ushered in an era where they never are able to turn it off. The drama follows them home. Conversations with friends follows them home through group chats and Snapchat. And if they're not a part of it, then the tension or the fact that they're missing out might also be causing anxiety, because while you as a parent may be taking their phone away from them, they don't know what someone else might be saying about them or what other drama they are going to be missing out on. See, when I was a kid, that wasn't an option. I was able to go home, and home was able to be my safe spot. And my guess is, if you're a parent just like me, is that you're trying to help your house be a safe spot. And if you're a youth pastor, my guess is you're trying to help teens navigate this anxiety. But if you didn't grow up in this phenomenon of technology and digital where you're, quote, always on, you might not really truly understand what teenagers are going through. That's why if you're a parent, youth pastor, or teenager, I want to toss out 5 potential tips to help you drive towards a healthier digital lifestyle. And this is specifically aimed towards teenagers. At the end of this video, I'm going to share with you my Digital Detox Family Challenge worksheet. The link is down below in the description. It is free for my Patreon community, so thank you if you are a part of that. If not, it's just a few bucks. And in that resource, there are 2 interactive family elements. So if you're a parent or a youth pastor, feel free to grab it and use it. And youth pastors, share it with your parents as a resource to help them towards a healthier digital lifestyle for their teenagers. And as always, in the hybrid ministry of this show, there are chapters down below at the bottom so that you can scrub ahead or back to whatever is most relevant to you. Welcome, my friends, to the Hybrid Ministry Show. Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Hybrid Ministry Show. If you and I haven't had a chance to meet yet, my name is Nick Clayson, and as I said in the intro, I'm a 14-year youth ministry veteran, but I'm also a parent of kids 6 and 8 years old, so they're in squarely in that Generation Alpha sort of time frame. And I see it on the horizon. I'm not quite there yet, but I've also navigated it with teenagers in youth ministry for 14 years, obviously still relevantly and currently helping teenagers wade through and navigate through this digital sort of tension. And so I think that's the biggest thing, right, is this tension between, should we completely abdicate digital, or should we teach them how to handle it with integrity and with a hygiene that makes sense and that's going to actually help them as they enter into this world of adulthood and more responsibility? You see, as older generation like myself and even people older than us, a lot of times the mentality is like, your phone is the enemy, just get rid of it, throw it in the lake, throw it in the river. And be that as it may, and that might even be the case, like it might be something that's dangerous and bad and not helpful to you, right? They're not going anywhere. That's the hard thing, is cell phones and technology, it's not going anywhere. The dial is only getting cranked up more and more and more. And so we're constantly living in this tension of what we want. Like, do we want to be Laura Ingalls Wilder and living out on the prairie versus like being someone fully immersed in tech, but knowing like that's probably not good for us. And we can also see and know the effects of it. And you got to remember, tech is still in its infancy in a lot of ways. And so some of these long-term effects of brain and anxiety and mental health, like we don't even know what or how much or if any of it affects us. And so here are 5 tips to help you and your family navigate through detoxing digital and finding balance in this, quote, always on world. Tip number 1 is potentially consider setting app time limits. I've done this in the past. I don't currently have them set on my phone. And honestly, the reason behind that is because I'm lazy, right? And I'm not practicing what I'm preaching. But in the past, I have set app limitations for things like social media apps that I might scroll more endlessly on. And here's what you got to understand: in my current role and job, like one of my main and primary responsibilities is social media management, content creation, and content posting. And so it's made it tricky for me because I can't just say I'm never going to be on Instagram, or I'm never going to be on YouTube, or I'm never going to be on TikTok, because that's a key component of our youth ministry strategy. And so I'd put like a 15-minute or 30-minute time limit on those apps so that I could get on, so that I could post, so that I could engage with comments with anyone who's maybe interacted with our content. But then when that 30-minute or 15-minute time limit came to an end on any one of those apps, that would be it for the day. Now, of course, my phone offers me, right, like more opportunities to like add more time. And so like I would just kind of do that mindlessly until eventually to the point where I just like would turn it off because I was on vacation or something. And then of course I haven't gone back, to turn those things back on. But consider that potentially for your teen or your tween or whoever in your house might be trying to navigate this balance between work and life and social and digital and screens and all these things. And linked right here is actually my review of the best parenting apps for 2025 and beyond. And so it's a conversation between the Bark phone, Aura plus Circle by Disney, or Covenant Eyes. All three have very different kind of approaches to parental controls and stuff like that, but all three are useful and helpful and beneficial. I give my honest youth pastor take and review, but feel free to go against my opinion on that. Do whatever works best for you and for your family, but maybe consider setting time limits as a way to help balance this quote always on world. Tip number 2 is, what if you turned your phone onto grayscale mode, right? There's a feature, my wife and I both did it, and we turned our phones onto grayscale mode, and it was honestly disorienting. And what it does is it's meant to sort of help reduce sort of those brain chemicals that cause you to be more addicted to your screen. And so when you're on it, it's like, you don't like it. Like I remember just absolutely hating it, and I hated looking at my phone. I hated doing all these things, but like it was helpful because time limits are forced restrictions. Grayscale mode turns down the desire to just continue to be on my phone and continue to be on there mindlessly, scrolling endlessly. Like it made me want to actually get off of it. So consider that as an option. Turn on grayscale mode on your phone. Tip number 3, as a family, what if you created screen-free meals? What if once a day you as a family committed to the discipline of having screen-free meals? What if maybe meals don't work? What if you chose and reclaim some of your time as a family to have a one phone-free time per day? Maybe that feels daunting and impossible. Then maybe just start at one phone-free time per week, where everybody, including the parents, puts their phones away and you engage in one-on-one or one-on-many human discussion at the dinner table, or a family outing, or a family movie night, or something like that, where you are phone-free, free from distractions. You're doing something together and re-engaging relationally as a family. And you can even, buy something linked down below, like a phone locker or a phone jail, where everyone's phones go in, for a set amount of time, and it doesn't open up until it's over. And, emergencies or whatnot, like if you do it for an hour, even if there is an emergency within that hour, your phone will still tell you at the end of that hour, and you'll be able to, handle it as you need to. But it would be a good discipline for you and your family to try. Dialing it up even a little bit more of a notch from screen-free meals. What if you considered a digital Sabbath? Sabbath is an Old Testament term and word for taking a break. And, so like in the rhythm of creation, you look at the biblical account of creation. God created the earth in 6 days, but then on the 7th day, he rested. And you and I, like those of us who go to church, like we know that God didn't need rest, right? Like God modeled that for Adam and Eve. And it's interesting if you think about it. God created man and woman on the 6th day, and then on the 7th day, he rested. And so Adam and Eve's very first day of being created and being on this earth, they also too not only saw God rest, but they were experiencing that version of Sabbath. And so what if with your phones, what if with technology, what if you created a quote digital Sabbath of sorts, perhaps like on a Saturday or a Sunday, or like a Friday night to a Saturday afternoon. Like, it doesn't have to be one full day. It could be like after work and school on like a Friday, and then it goes to like a certain time on Saturday, where again, you as a family maybe throw your phone in one of those boxes and you commit to not to not being on devices, not being on screens for a certain period of time. And then the fifth and final tip that I have for you here to engage in a healthier balance of an always-on world is, what if you just chose to charge your phone not in your bedroom? I say charge your phone in your kitchen. First of all, you need to know those EMFs coming off your phone, like, they're bad for you. It literally says it in the terms and conditions on your phone. So don't be right next to it while it's charging. Put it somewhere else, not only for your physical health, but also for your mental health, so that when you're in bed, you're in bed. Maybe read, maybe, actually go to sleep, but don't find yourself in there doom scrolling. But consider that as an option or a discipline, parents included, kids as well, but keep those things out of rooms. And I'll just say again, 14-year youth ministry veteran, like, one of the things I've found, especially for teenagers, is got to get those phones out of the rooms, behind closed doors, and in those private moments. That's where a lot of like bad decisions might happen. And like at summer camp for us, we collect everyone's phone and we charge it in a central spot in the room. They have access to it if their parents call, whatever, alarms, but we take them from them, because we've found that it lights out when kids have phones. That's when shenanigans often happen. And so we take that away, and that's just a rule, right? Like, we don't confiscate phones for the whole week, but we do collect them and house them, so to speak, in like a cell phone collection location, in order to help with behavior, to help with sleep, to help with a lot of different things. And so what if, as the fifth tip, that was something that you and your family committed to, charging your phone away from the bedroom? So you might be thinking like, well, now what do I do? Great. I'm glad you asked. Like I said at the beginning, I have a link down below, the Digital Detox Family Challenge worksheet. You can go grab that. It's over on my Patreon. It is $3. But if you want to become a Patreon for $4 a month, you will not only get every one of these resources that I'm giving away over on that site, but you'll also get a weekly bonus podcast. And if you're in youth ministry, I'm just talking through what I do every week, and I'm giving creative ideas to help you lean into digital, but also handle it with care and integrity and dignity. And so there's a couple of discussion prompts for families and a couple of action steps. And so I would say, if you're in youth ministry, this would be a very well spent $3 to share out in an email newsletter to parents, to just encourage them, to try digital detox with their family, to work through and think through 5 different sort of tips to help them in their families. So linked here on screen is the next video in this series called Scroll with Purpose, Teaching Teens to Use Phones Wisely in this digital age and in this digital world. I'd love to have you check that out. If you're here on YouTube, give us a like, a rating, a subscribe. All those things really, truly help us out to be found in search. But until next time, and as always, my friends, I just want to encourage you to stay hybrid.